The vibrant and ever-turbulent world of the young and the restless has long been characterized by a rich array of conflicts, betrayals, and shifting loyalties, none more intense than the recent series of events involving Michael Baldwin. His actions have set off a chain of reactions that threatens to spiral out of control, potentially putting his life in jeopardy and leading to dramatic confrontations that will leave fans on the edge of their seats. It all starts with a grave mistake that Michael made in his dealings with Victor Newman, a mistake that will have far-reaching consequences. At the heart of the matter is Michael's decision to secretly meet with Jack Abbott, a move that, unbeknownst to him, has already put him in the crosshairs of Victor. Lauren Baldwin, Michael's loving but fiercely protective wife, quickly catches wind of her husband's betrayal and is not pleased in the slightest. Her concern for Michael's safety grows, but the tension between their differing perspectives only serves to fuel the already combustible situation. Lauren's realization that Michael has gone behind Victor's back to meet with Jack is not just an emotional blow, it's a tactical one. As someone who knows Victor's methods all too well, Lauren understands the dangerous implications of her husband's actions. She can already see the writing on the wall. Victor does not take kindly to those who cross him, and Michael's decision to meet with his competitor could be the catalyst for a much larger, more deadly scheme. As a woman who has seen the ruthlessness of the Newman patriarch up close, Lauren knows that Victor's retaliation will not be subtle. As the gravity of Michael's betrayal sinks in, Lauren's worry turns into outright fear. Michael's attempt to resolve his situation by dealing with it on his own only deepens her concern. She feels that, rather than addressing the issue head-on, Michael is only digging himself into a deeper hole. Her warnings fall on deaf ears as Michael insists on handling things his way, convinced that he can navigate the perilous waters of his situation without making things worse. However, the stakes are much higher than he realizes, and Lauren's fears are soon realized in a shocking twist. The truth begins to emerge, and it becomes evident that Victor's reaction to Michael's betrayal is far more calculated than anyone could have anticipated. Michael's attempts to fix the situation only serve to make it worse, and soon, his disappearance becomes a mystery that will haunt the Genoa City community. His sudden and unexplained absence sends shockwaves through his family, leaving them in a state of confusion and dread. As the story unravels, it becomes increasingly clear that Victor's hand is behind Michael's disappearance, and he has orchestrated this move to punish his former ally for daring to betray him. The fallout from Michael's actions is nothing short of explosive. With Victor's machinations now fully revealed, the entire Baldwin family finds itself thrust into a dark and dangerous world that they never expected to enter. Lauren, now fully aware of the gravity of the situation, must navigate a treacherous path to bring Michael back. Her knowledge of Victor's ruthless methods becomes an invaluable asset, but even her resourcefulness may not be enough to counter Victor's cold-blooded tactics. As Michael struggles to maintain control of his situation while in captivity, Lauren works tirelessly to track him down and uncover the truth behind his disappearance. The clock is ticking, and every moment that passes without answers pushes her closer to the edge. In the midst of this crisis, Lauren is forced to confront not only her fears for Michael's life but also her feelings of betrayal and the distance that has grown between them as a result of his actions. With each passing day, Michael's fate hangs in the balance. His once solid relationship with Lauren is now being tested in ways neither of them ever anticipated. While Lauren holds on to hope that she can rescue her husband from the clutches of Victor's control, Michael's situation continues to deteriorate. As Victor's plot unravels, it becomes clear that he will stop at nothing to maintain his power and punish those who dare to cross him. In the final act of this harrowing saga, Lauren finds herself at a crossroads. Will she be able to outwit Victor and secure Michael's freedom, or will she lose him forever to the darkness that has swallowed their lives? As secrets are revealed, alliances shift, and the stakes grow ever higher, the ultimate showdown between Lauren, Michael, and Victor looms on the horizon. The tension and suspense are palpable as the Baldwin family faces their greatest challenge yet. The bonds of love and loyalty will be tested to their limits, and the consequences of Michael's actions will reverberate throughout Genoa City. What began as a simple mistake has now escalated into a life-or-death struggle, and the only question that remains is whether Michael and Lauren will emerge from this nightmare stronger than ever, or forever torn apart by the forces that have come between them. In a world where nothing is as it seems, The Young and the Restless continues to deliver unpredictable twists and turns that keep fans hooked. Michael Baldwin's ill-fated decisions have set into motion a chain of events that promises to be both thrilling and heartbreaking in equal measure. As the story unfolds, viewers will be on the edge of their seats, eagerly awaiting the next shocking development in this high-stakes drama. In the high-stakes world of The Young and the Restless, where family legacies and personal ambitions collide, the tensions within the Newman family have never been higher. At the center of this whirlwind is the formidable Vicki Newman, a woman who has long navigated the murky waters of corporate intrigue and family drama. Yet, despite her wealth, influence, and years of experience, Vicki finds herself in an unexpected battle. One that pits her against the very man she once loved, her husband, Victor Newman. The catalyst for this struggle? A young woman named Claire, the latest addition to the Newman family who has caught the eye of none other than Kyle Abbott, the charming yet controversial heir to the Abbott fortune. Claire's relationship with Kyle has been the subject of considerable scrutiny, not just from their peers, but from Victor himself, whose judgment of Kyle runs deeper than mere concern for his daughter's happiness. For Victor, Kyle's familial ties to the Abbott family are an insurmountable obstacle, and the thought of Claire becoming involved with someone from that side of the Genoa City divide is a wound he cannot easily ignore. Vicki, who has always prided herself on being a voice of reason within the Newman family, finds herself frustrated by Victor's continued disapproval of Claire's choices. What started as an isolated disagreement has grown into a full-blown conflict that threatens to tear apart the fragile equilibrium in their relationship. Vicki has tried, on countless occasions, to sway Victor's opinion, to no avail. Every attempt to reason with him, to make him see that Claire is an independent young woman capable of making her own decisions, has been met with stubborn resistance. Victor's view on the situation is clouded by his deep-seated distrust of the Abbott family. For years, the Abbott-Newman rivalry has defined the corporate landscape of Genoa City, with each family fiercely protecting their turf. In Victor's eyes, Kyle's lineage makes him unsuitable for Claire, no matter how well-meaning or charming he might be. To him, being the son of Jack Abbott is an inherent flaw, one that disqualifies Kyle from ever being considered a legitimate partner for Claire. Victor's animosity toward the Abbott family runs deep, rooted in years of professional rivalry and personal vendettas, making it nearly impossible for him to see past his biases. As Vicki watches her husband's disdain for Kyle continue to grow, her frustration reaches a boiling point. She has spent years navigating Victor's dominant personality, learning to work around his overbearing ways and trying to make him see reason. But this time, the stakes feel higher. This is about more than just business or family feuds. This is about Claire's happiness, her future, and the right to choose her own partner without interference from her father. Vicki is resolute. It's time for her to take charge, to assert her authority in a way she never has before, and to make Victor understand that Claire deserves to make her own choices. Vicki's strategy is not to confront Victor head-on in the way most would expect. Instead, she seeks to subtly challenge his authority, to present her perspective not as an opposition but as a reminder of the values she believes in. As the matriarch of the Newman family, Vicki is no stranger to power plays, but this is different. This isn't about asserting control over business decisions or family legacies. This is about standing up for a young woman she has come to love and respect, a woman who has proven herself time and time again. Despite Vicki's best efforts, however, her attempts to convince Victor to accept Claire's relationship with Kyle continue to fall short. Each conversation with him ends in frustration, with Victor's stubbornness only becoming more entrenched as the days go on. Vicki, ever the diplomat, knows that she cannot force Victor to change his mind, but her patience is running thin. She understands that, at some point, she may have to take more drastic measures to protect Claire and her relationship with Kyle from Victor's wrath. The tipping point comes when Vicki learns that Claire and Kyle have made the decision to move in together. This is the moment that finally shatters the fragile peace between Vicki and Victor. When Victor receives the news of their decision, his reaction is swift and furious. For him, this is the ultimate betrayal. His daughter, Claire, is defying his wishes in the most significant way possible, by choosing to live with someone he considers unsuitable. The fact that Kyle is from the Abbott family only exacerbates his fury, making it clear that Victor will not back down from his opposition to their relationship. Victor's anger is palpable, and it doesn't take long for the entire Newman family to feel the impact. His cold, calculated nature shifts into overdrive as he begins to scheme against Kyle, determined to separate him from Claire no matter what it takes. This decision marks a dramatic escalation in the family's conflict, one that will have far-reaching consequences for all involved. Nikki, who has tried to be the peacemaker, now finds herself caught in the crossfire between her love for Victor and her commitment to Claire. Nikki's resolve is tested as she sees the depth of Victor's anger and the lengths he is willing to go to in order to maintain control over Claire's life. She knows that if she does nothing, Claire's future with Kyle could be in serious jeopardy. But Nikki is no stranger to challenges, and she's determined to fight for what she believes in. She may not be able to change Victor's mind, but she will not sit idly by and watch her daughter-in-law's happiness be destroyed. The tension between Nikki and Victor reaches its peak in a confrontation that will redefine their relationship. In this pivotal moment, Nikki must decide just how far she is willing to go to protect Claire, and whether she is willing to risk her marriage with Victor for the sake of a young woman she loves like her own. The stakes have never been higher, and the fallout from this battle will ripple throughout Genoa City, affecting not just the Newman family but everyone who crosses their path. As Nikki's struggle for Claire's independence unfolds, it becomes clear that no one is immune from the consequences of their actions. The family dynamics are shifting. Michael Baldwin's struggle. A man caught between loyalty and survival in the world of the young and the restless, the boundaries between family, loyalty, and personal ambition are often blurred, leading characters down paths of deceit, manipulation, and intense emotional turmoil. One of the most compelling storylines currently unfolding is the internal conflict of Michael Baldwin, a man who has always tried to maintain a semblance of honor, yet now finds himself trapped in a dangerous web of loyalty to Victor Newman, the powerful and calculating patriarch of the Newman family. At the center of this turmoil is Michael's wife, Lauren Baldwin, a woman who has spent her life navigating the complexities of both love and betrayal. As Michael finds himself deeper in Victor's grip, Lauren feels torn between her compassion for her husband and her anger at the choices he has made. She is a woman of great strength, but even she cannot ignore the crushing weight of the situation Michael has created for himself. As their marriage teeters on the edge, the emotional stakes have never been higher. The weight of Michael's decisions when Michael is confronted by Lauren, his defensive stance is immediately apparent. He tries to explain himself, claiming that he is simply trying to create the best possible outcome for both himself and the people he cares about. However, the tension between them is palpable, as Lauren is not fooled by his rationalizations. She understands the pressures he faces, but she also knows the risks involved. She has seen Victor's cruelty firsthand, and she is deeply concerned for Michael's well-being. Lauren's warning is stark and honest. When Victor finds out what Michael has done, he might very well be roasted alive. The threat is not just figurative. Victor's wrath is legendary, and Michael's willingness to blindly follow his orders has put him in grave danger. Lauren's heart aches as she looks at her husband, torn between her love for him and her growing fear that his decisions will have disastrous consequences. She knows that Michael is a man of principle, but the situation he has found himself in is anything but black and white. A man trapped by his loyalty. Michael's predicament is complicated by the loyalty he feels toward Victor. Over the years, he has been molded into Victor's most trusted ally. But the cost of this loyalty is becoming increasingly clear. Michael is no longer acting of his own free will, he is a pawn in Victor's high-stakes game of power and manipulation. When Victor ordered Michael to target Jack Abbott, a long-standing rival, Michael felt compelled to follow through, even though he knew the risks involved. For Michael, this was not just a matter of business, it was a matter of survival within the tight, suffocating world that Victor controls. The task set before him was simple enough in theory: damage Jack Abbott and his standing in Genoa City. But Michael quickly realizes that the stakes are much higher than he anticipated. He feels conflicted, torn between doing Victor's bidding and maintaining his own sense of integrity. As the pressure mounts, Michael begins to feel trapped, his every move dictated by the unforgiving hand of his former boss. His nights are sleepless, filled with haunting nightmares of what will happen if he fails or betrays Victor's trust. The internal battle is eating away at Michael. He is no longer the confident, unflappable man he once was. Instead, he is a shadow of his former self, racked with guilt and anxiety. Despite his outward calm, he is losing control, and the weight of his decisions is slowly suffocating him. What started as a calculated move to appease Victor has now spiraled into a nightmare that Michael cannot escape from. The role of Victor Newman as Michael's psychological and emotional state deteriorates. Victor Newman enters the picture. Nicky, ever perceptive and shrewd, is quick to notice the toll that Victor's influence is taking on Michael. During a conversation with Lauren, Nicky expresses her concern over Michael's mounting stress and anxiety. He's losing sleep, and the nightmares are getting worse, Nicky remarks. The severity of Michael's situation becomes increasingly clear, and Nicky, like Lauren, understands that the consequences of his actions could be catastrophic. Nicky, with her own experience of Victor's manipulation and control, knows better than anyone what Michael is going through. She recognizes that Michael is trying to prove himself to Victor after the debacle involving Jordan, but she also knows that Victor's demands are unrelenting and ultimately unforgiving. As Nicky shares her observations with Lauren, both women are left to wonder how far Michael is willing to go to earn Victor's approval. And whether that approval is worth the cost to his sanity and his soul. The psychological toll as the pressure continues to mount, Michael's mental and emotional state begins to fray at the edges. The nightmares he is experiencing are a reflection of the immense guilt he feels for betraying his own sense of morality. He is caught between two worlds. The world of loyalty to Victor, a man who has controlled him for years, and the world of his conscience, which is desperately urging him to break free from Victor's grip. Michael's inability to sleep or find peace is a symptom of the internal war raging within him. He knows that he cannot continue living this way, yet he feels powerless to change his circumstances. Victor's hold on him is absolute, and every time Michael tries to step away, he is pulled back in deeper. The pressure is overwhelming, and Michael's efforts to maintain control are starting to unravel. He knows that he cannot continue this way without facing devastating consequences, both for himself and for those he loves. Lauren's dilemma. For Lauren, the situation is just as complicated. She is a woman who has spent her life standing by Michael's side, but she cannot ignore the fact that his decisions are putting both of them at risk. Lauren is torn between her love for her husband and her growing fear that Michael's blind loyalty to Victor will ultimately destroy him. She wants to protect him, but she knows that the only way to do so is to confront the truth of his situation head-on. Lauren's growing frustration with Michael's refusal to face the consequences of his actions is becoming harder to hide. She loves him deeply, but she is running out of patience. Her warnings have fallen on deaf ears so far, but she knows that if Michael does not break free from Victor's influence soon, the consequences will be dire. The idea of losing Michael, not to death or injury, but to the slow erosion of his soul under Victor's control, is something that Lauren cannot bear. The tension builds as the story progresses. Michael's mental state continues to deteriorate. He is becoming more desperate to prove himself to Victor, but with each passing day, the burden of his actions grows heavier. The conflict within him is palpable, and his attempts to maintain control are becoming increasingly futile. Meanwhile, Lauren and Nicky both realize that the clock is ticking. Michael's fate is hanging by a thread, and the decisions he makes in the coming days will determine not only his future but the future of his family. Victor, ever the puppeteer, continues to pull the strings from the shadows, unaware of the toll his demands are taking on Michael. As the tension escalates, it is clear that something will have to give. Michael cannot continue down this path without consequences, and Lauren is determined to ensure that he is given the chance to break free before it's too late. In the end, the question remains. Will Michael find the strength to free himself from Victor's control, or will he be consumed by the very loyalty that once defined him? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, his journey is far from over, and the stakes have never been higher.